Welcome to our presentation on music, sound, and the rise of artificial intelligence.
Hi everyone, my name is Gina Zdanowicz, sound designer and composer, focusing in the world of game audio. I also dabble in film, television, audio dramas, and other interactive experiences. I founded Serial Lab Sound, which is a collective of game audio enthusiasts and professionals. And I'm a professor of video game scoring at Berklee College of Music. I've also co-authored the Game Audio Strategy Guide, a practical course.
And I'm Lin Chase. I'm a computer scientist, longtime Silicon Valley person, recently moved to Minnesota to become a professor, and I'm also a musician and producer, and I run a company called Woo Factor Music.
It can be challenging to keep up with the ever-evolving technology, but we shouldn't fear these changes. We need to be able to adapt and embrace them in order to thrive. If we fail to adapt, we lose out. So how do you wrap your head around it? And how do we move forward? So we're here to give you a guided tour of what's going on and the where and how you might engage. Example, in game music, I've adapted in order to thrive. So video game music has evolved since I joined the arena in 2005. And I think as we continue to move forward in any field, even outside of video game audio, continuing to adapt and evolve as the world changes is going to be really important and the key to thriving. So let's talk about why we're here and what we'd like to accomplish. Lin approached me about doing this talk because I like to have a finger on the pulse of the future of the game audio industry, in focusing on video game music. And in exploring a history of tools, and we've had a chat about how there was the use of MIDI in the 90s, and then we went to WAV files, and now we're dabbling in AI composing and recomposing. And this doesn't just happen in our field. Look at robot vacuum cleaners and self-driving cars and how all of that evolves. Here we'll look at two examples of interactive and generative music in games, starting with the 1990s LucasArts Monkey Island 2, which used an all-MIDI music system to manipulate tempo and pitch and harmony on the fly. And then we'll look at the 2008 Brian Eno scored Spore, which used a system called the Shuffler. And basically it took samples and patterns and shuffled them around to create this generative music as the game plays out. Both of these examples greatly vary from the tried and true WAV file that loops in game until another WAV file is called in as a transition. And I think as we continue with the future of game music, we'll continue to need to look at these interactive and generative approaches, whether it's manipulating software, synths, virtual instruments, or MIDI data, and procedurally or generatively generating it so that it fits these expansive game worlds that are also being procedurally generated. In the early 1990s, LucasArts created this proprietary system called iMuse. And the iMuse system was essentially taking MIDI data with sampled instruments and composing within that box. And
Hello.
In this example here, you can hear as the player moves from different location throughout the ship, the music branches or phrase branches. It waits until the end of the phrase and then it transitions into the next one. And it's very easy to do because MIDI data is much more has a better ability to be manipulated than a standard WAV file. Let's take a listen. Here we're going to have a look at the Intelligent Music System's dynamic percussion. And this was used in the Rise of the Tomb Raider and Marvel's Avengers, so in 2015 and 2020, respectively. Basically, the system is, a set of tools for the composer and sound designers, and it analyzes composer's original music and then uses algorithms based on music theory to learn its structure, style, and what you hear in game ends up being like the extension of the composer's sound. And there's a lot of new possibilities for making it feel like the music is playing out as the player moves through the game. Let's take a look at a clip that they have easily accessible on their website here that shows the dynamic percussion system in use in the Rise of the Tomb Raider. And, they talk about how it's easy to integrate and it's negligible on the CPU footprint. So instead of stacking up audio percussion tracks, the system needs just one channel, and it stays synchronized with the composer's original soundtrack. And it easily integrates with FMOD, Wise, and Unity, which is a big, those are top 3 standards. I don't know if it'll have Unreal integration in the future, but this is what it says on the website at the moment.
As you can tell from Gina's discussion of iMuse and the dynamic percussion system, AI systems can help with a lot of different aspects of our work as composers and musicians and producers. AI helpers can write or suggest chord progressions and corresponding melodies. They can write and create MIDI or audio for tracks and stems and full mixes. They can pick or suggest instrumentation. They can adjust tempos. They can create time alignments as things happen in games or video or other audio. These capabilities that they provide can really speed up our work and can make it possible to do good work in genres and styles that maybe not are our forte or as familiar to us as we would like. There's way more great information available about all of this than we could possibly fit into a 20-minute talk. Plus, we wanted to empower you to do your own explorations and get into this on your own. So we built a companion website called xmuse.ai, where you can go and explore a lot of what we're showing you today and much more. So go on over to xmuse.ai when you get a chance and have a look around. Here's what the xmuse.ai website looks like when you arrive. It's a collection of resources, different tools, different products, different things that are available that have been developed to use artificial intelligence for music production. For instance, here's Amper Music. It's one of my favorites, very interesting consumer product. You can click through and learn more and come see our little summary, which is that it's a consumer product that allows you to make choices from a menu. And then you could also add your own video or audio source. Particularly, people use it to create music for videos that they've created. And then it automates the creation and alignment of a full soundtrack to the material that you uploaded. Let's go take a look at their website. It's very simple. You basically just in a few series of clicks can select a genre and say how long you want the piece of music to be. The system generates the music for you. You can edit, make some tweaks to it, and then download it and use it, and you own it free and clear. Now, I really like Amper, but it's super simple and it's a consumer product. They don't tell us much about what's going on inside, and you don't actually have that much control. There is a really cool kind of grown-up version of that called LifeScore, which is based on the work of well-known English composer Philip Shepard, who has deep relationships at the Abbey Road Recording Studio. Let's take a look at their website and have a quick listen to an example. So that just gives you a quick sense of the kind of audio quality that comes with the stems that are in the system. And the website goes through a lot more detail about how the composition works and what devices the system is compatible with. This is a system where you don't have control over creation of the stems. What you would be able to control would be the integration of the company's algorithms into a new product. There's an interesting Korean company called NewTune that's using a somewhat similar approach, although they've gone a step further. They've built a platform that allows artists to provide their own original blocks and stems of music and allows listeners to cut and paste and mix and match and create their own unique versions of songs from the artist's material. The whole thing is on an NFT platform, which is also very interesting. And listeners pay in cryptocurrency and the artists are paid in cryptocurrency. Looking at these examples, you may very well be thinking, but hey, I want a lot more actual control as a composer, as an artist. I really just want something that's going to give me an extra leg up or an extra boost. So let's take a look at two companies that have products that are very strong in this category. TuneTrack has a wide array of products, and a company called PG Music has a product called Band in a Box that I really like a lot. So let's take a quick look at each of those. Easy Keys, which is a very powerful TuneTrack product, allows you to specify chord progressions, chord changes on a very fine-grained timeline, if that's what you'd like, specific MIDI performances. There are, in fact, libraries and libraries full of MIDI performances based on style and genre. You can select what instrument you want. You can put colors on chords. It's super cool. Band in a Box by PG Music is also equally powerful and useful. You can specify chord progressions, although not at the same level of timeline granularity as you can with the other product. But you do get a much wider array of genres and styles with both audio and MIDI performances to draw on. This is a really awesome product as well. I'd like to play you an example of something that was generated using this class of tools. So over here on Woo Factor Music, I'm going to play Passing Through Fields, which is an instrumental. So whether that suits your particular taste or not, I imagine you can be impressed that it was automatically generated. So far, everything we've looked at are tools or approaches in which the composer, the artist has control. Sometimes a little bit of control, sometimes a lot of control, but nevertheless, still very much in the loop. That is not always the case. There is research going on in an area called deep learning. The researchers in that area are interested in building systems that listen to works that were created by humans and create a machine that can do the same thing. Let's take a look at one very well known example of this, which is Jukebox. Jukebox is one of the main lines of research and systems being built at a place called OpenAI. It was founded in San Francisco in late 2015. Elon Musk was one of the original co-founders. He's no longer actively involved. Sam Altman and other people collectively put $1 billion into starting the OpenAI organization. And one of the main things that they're working on is music generation. What they do is they take raw audio data from recordings of songs and compositions and symphonies and all kinds of things that have been created using traditional methods. And they train a system that tries to create things on its own. Let's take a look over here at jukebox.openai.com of some examples of what the system's capable of doing. This is just kind of a whole bunch of samples. So I don't know, let's take a look at Elvis Presley. When listening to Elvis Presley, what does Jukebox come up with?
You'll never know Won't tell me until you've been down to New Orleans. Till it's pretty with too. With stone dark eyes, baby, you is my ideal. You never seen no secret dog when.
So that's one example. Let's see what happens when Jukebox listens to Simon and Garfunkel. Or how about, let's see what happens with Ed Sheeran. So you can see that there's quite a way to go in terms of completely illuminating the artist, the composer, the songwriter, the creative person from the process. There's way more cool stuff on xmuse.ai than we could get to in 20 minutes, so we really encourage you to go over and take a look. We'll also be adding more as we go forward, more for musicians and composers, but also for songwriters and for sound artists. So stay tuned. Now we're going to switch over to live interaction mode. We look forward to hearing your questions and having a discussion.